I can even see the voice modules, whatever they're called.
Voice modulation. Good morning, everyone. This is episode 138. Yep. And we have a special guest who Chill will actually introduce to you shortly. It's Kranatoko, who we will refer to as Charlie for the purpose of this interview.
Oh, we will?
The show.
I thought we were doing the Kranatoko thing.
How about Chuck?
Well, we can do whichever.
Which do you
Chill, what do
prefer?
you prefer?
Go whatever you like. I really don't mind.
Hey,
Well,
you.
you Twitter under Kranatoko, right? Pretty much?
Yeah.
He doesn't hide his name, though, so...
Okay, so Charlie's fine then.
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright.
Or Krano, I guess, as we call you.
People seem to call people in Swoto call me Cranny, and I don't know why. Or Granny. Granny.
Like nooks and crannies? Cranny?
Nah.
This is going really weird.
It's
Alright,
a weird name.
yes. Yes, it is. Alright, we are live, etc. So, Mr. Red, could you check... Oh, Chill, could you check your headphone audio? Make sure it's nice and low.
Yes, I did lower it. I can
Thank you.
What am I checking?
a little more. Actually, I
That you're recording?
Yes, I is.
pretty loudly, so I can knock it down a few more notches. Say
Okay.
something?
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, that should
Don't
work.
use that voice again.
Good morning, Vietnam.
Are there a finite number?
Scooby-Doo. Why, yes.
No craps.
Hello, nurse. Oh,
That's
yeah.
I was going to say. Alright. Yeah, let's stop procrastinating. Time to get on with it. Everyone ready to go?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Red?
Of course.
Okay, let's do
Until I
this. Chill.
disconnect.
No, I'm here.
Yeah. Then let us do this.
Alright, going in 5 seconds. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast. You can either profit by this or be destroyed. This is episode 138, being recorded on Wednesday, May 14th, 2014. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, Tio. Hi, Tio.
Hey guys.
And with us today are Kranatoko, also known as Charlie, and also Red. So, Charlie, we know you from the recent box opening videos that you've been putting out. So tell us a little bit about that, how you got started on that, and what kind of videos you've been putting out.
Well, I've been doing Star Wars: The Old Republic videos since 2011, ever since Star Wars: The Old Republic ever actually came out. And it was usually just my Sith Warrior videos that I'd usually do, just on my Kranatoko character. But a lot of my subscribers actually wanted me to do another character, so I did my Jedi Consular. And then later on, it got to a point where I was just buying these packs, and I thought, well, I'll just do a video on them. And usually the intros they've been very interesting because I didn't usually do major intros. They were just like a 30-second thing, but now I actually put a lot of work into them. And it's just for fun, really.
Right.
And now I've actually decided to make a story out of it because it's just why not? Why not?
How do those videos do, like in hits, compared to like the regular Warrior videos? I'm just curious.
My Sith Warrior videos are getting a lot more views lately purely because I don't do them as frequently anymore because I've kind of run out of content to show on my Sith Warrior. So it's literally waiting for new content, new patches to come out, and then I'll eventually make some more Sith Warrior videos, and then they'll be released. And my Sith Warrior videos usually average around about 1,000 views. It takes about a week to get there, and the pack opening videos literally take about a few days to get to 1,000 views. So it's fair. It's fair. Yeah.
Well, I love
you a
that. I love
fortune
box
to
openings.
doesn't it cost you a fortune to buy all those hypercrates?
It does, but I do get a little bit of money from doing my videos. Just a little bit.
Oh,
Very
good.
cool.
Enough money, that is. I'm not going to say how much.
Right. Well, the box openings are really fun, and they're fun to watch. So,
Well, I enjoy making them. Making the actual intros to begin with, I'll make it and I'll think this is gonna really suck. This is gonna be boring and nobody's gonna like this. But then it's usually when I add the music and everything else afterwards, it's like, oh, it's not too bad. It's all right, I suppose.
Awesome. All right, and do you have any other planned videos upcoming, different types or anything like that?
Only more Jedi Consular videos. I've just released episode what one there, 83 to 86, which sees my Jedi Consular on Hoth, and 87 to 89 will see my Jedi Consular finish Hoth,
Nice.
and move on to finishing Chapter 2, which will be interesting.
Yep, that's always a nice moment. All right, and how about this week? What have you been doing in SWTOR?
I haven't really been doing anything, unfortunately. I've not really had the time. I actually have a job, so that's usually been keeping me busy, unfortunately.
They do that.
Working in a supermarket isn't fun.
Right. Well, normally besides the leveling of the consular, like, do you do endgame operations or PvP?
I used to, but then I just stopped doing them because I've really had no time. Honestly, literally no time at all.
Understood.
I'd really love to get back into it, but unfortunately, not the case
So
anymore.
it's just log in, open 24 boxes, and log out.
That's pretty much been the case. Or recording more Jedi Consular, obviously. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Sounds good. And Red, how about your week?
Well, let's see. After the show, I realized that my internet was being super hyper flaky, so I didn't play until Sunday.
Oh. Did you find out what the problem was?
No, I don't think so, because this evening it started acting up again. So hopefully I don't get booted.
Okay.
But I did do a bunch of PvP. I was able to knock out the weekly for ranked. And yeah, beyond that, I actually decided on Monday that I was going to go and join some people on the Imperial side to do some PvP, and in the process of transferring all of my legacy gear to my Power Tech instead of my Vanguard, my offhand went missing. And I was really tripping. Like, it's
weird.
gone! It got lost in the mail! So I submitted a ticket, freaked out, woke up Tuesday morning, and they said, oh, no. Actually, you, for some reason, equipped it on your ship droid companion. Go ahead and pull it off.
How did you do
How
that?
embarrassing.
Well, I think I know exactly how it happened, but it didn't connect in my head. But when I went to get my stuff out of the mail, I realized I'd sent myself a ship droid skin. So I clicked on that to put it onto my ship droid, and I'd opened up my character sheet and switched to my companion. Then I started rapidly trying to equip everything else, and it says, you can't equip that, you can't equip that. And I was like, oh, well, crap. But I could equip the offhand, and it must have done that. And then I, going back through my brain, everything that I did, man, I went on to 14 of my characters, seeing if I accidentally mailed it to the wrong person or something.
So now does your ship droid look like a butler or whatever?
No,
Which
it's the
one
one
is
with the
it?
target on him.
The target. Okay.
Even better.
Yeah. So I did want to give a shout out to Colin in customer service. Thanks for finding that for me, buddy.
The Swirl
I'm
customer
sure you
service
can.
is literally the best.
I was very impressed. It didn't say, customer service droid number yada yada yada. He actually put Colin in there. So I even tweeted at SWTOR, give this guy a tip in my name. He needs a little bit of a perk. But yeah, I was real happy about that. And then I did also put in here a picture of my trooper, my Vanguard. This is her new look. Because I realized that I've been playing with Force Chuckle on the Bastion for GSF for months. We're in the same guild. Didn't even know it. And he gave me this mount, and so of course I had to change my entire look to match.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, that's exactly what I said. I said, wow.
It's awesome.
And then he got a
Which
major
one is that
for
exactly?
that too. That's the Cavern Fractal, I think.
Well,
Something like
Theo and I
that.
got the cavern one, and that's the gray one. That's more the gray one. This is more brown with bright green.
That's because this one, it's all gray and black unless you get it at just the right angle, and
Oh,
then
I
this
see.
blue highlights start showing up. It's
Huh.
only on a very small camera angle. So when I took this picture, I had those flaring.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is a trooper, definitely doesn't look like a trooper. I decided to go with kind of a stealth assassin hooded look. Well, masked look anyway. And beyond that, did more PvP. I actually got, for the 3 days that I got to play, I got my ground normal PvP dailies and weeklies all done, and every day that I got to play, and same thing for the ranked, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
I've only got a couple more pieces that I need to get full brutal, and I'll be full brutalizer.
Nice.
I was also really, really excited because one of the people that I've been doing a lot of PvP with on a daily basis recently, who hasn't been big into PvP before, while my internet was out, I got back on Sunday, and I was told that they had gone ahead and continued to do the dailies on Friday, Saturday, and Thursday while I was away. And they were so happy that I was back because it's just not as much fun without friends. But I was so glad that they were out there doing it on their own.
Awesome. All right, Tio, how about you?
Well, let's start with rating. Firstly, it's pretty much the same as the previous week, though I guess a little more positive. That is, we blew through the first 3 encounters in hard mode Dread Fortress. So the first 3 easy enough, and we got up to Corruptor 0 on day 1, and spent the rest of that day and then the subsequent day just working on Corruptor 0 hard mode. And we did not get him down, but our very last attempt on day 2, we got awfully close. It was like 10%. In that final phase, we were basically getting down there consistently, where we worked around the bug where we have the Nightmare Mode mechanic where the droids aren't CCable. Our thought was, since we're going to be doing this probably on Nightmare Mode, once the Nightmare Power buff is removed come Game Update 2.8 anyway, we thought we might as well live with it, with the mechanic. And so we just persevered, and yeah, the strat is solid. It's simply a matter of execution. We were getting better every time. I respect to smash on my Sentinel, and yeah, that's actually an amazing amount of fun. I probably should have done this previously. And that made a great difference as well because of the amazing AoE, which is extremely useful in that encounter.
And heavy ads, yes.
Yeah, so hopefully this week we'll have the full team on day 1. We hopefully will get there and get him down. And maybe Kuzay is out on our second day, but we should be able to work out something. We'll see how that goes. And the rest of my week, I didn't really have much of a chance to play. Some real-life stuff got in the way. Got a wisdom tooth out, just by the by. However, yesterday we did do a couple of war zones, Civil War, Novar Coast, 1 Civil War, lost Novar Coast. It's good to be back on the operative again. I'm really having my doubts about whether I'll ever do ranked on him, solo ranked anyway. There was a great discussion about this on episode 200 of OotiniCast, where May and Rode had a couple of guests on, and they were just talking about just why solo ranked is so terrible. And yeah, I kind of see their point. Also did Bounty Contract Week on my Sork. Just started yesterday. It's on for another week. We'll keep running until this coming Tuesday. I actually died a couple of times. This is my PvP Sork on the Elite, and realized that my companions were in like level 10, 15 gear.
Right.
Yeah. So that wasn't good.
All my companions are pretty much that on all my characters. It literally just gets to a point where you mean to, but you just think, oh, it's too much effort.
Well, given my class story has stopped somewhere around level 15 or so, because that's what I do with my PvP characters. I just level through PvP. He's level 47, so that wasn't good. So what I did was I crafted a bunch of green mods for Treek, and once all that was done, it was easy because Treek is overpowered as a healer. So yeah, and my gear on my PvP character was all up to date, of course, so that was fine. So I'm actually champion. I got the champion with the bounty whoever they are.
Very nice.
Bounty Brokers Association?
I guess that'd be them. And finally, interviews. Lots of interviews. That's actually also been taking up some time. We got the interview that I did with Sweatal Minor published. You can see that as episode 137. Some really positive feedback on that. It was a lot of fun to do, actually. We had a really good chat about data mining and what you can do with it. And we've got 2 interviews on the weekend. One that Red did with Ufalong, who does those guides for Dolphy on stats. We read out the email from him last week.
That'll be good.
And that will be published Monday week. And this coming Monday was the interview that Chill did with a representative of the community manager, in fact, of SWOTOR RP, who just happens to be Larry Everett of the Republic, formerly of Massively, currently the hyperspacebeacon.com.
Right.
And it has a new video show on Hyperspace Beacon as well. So, that was a bit of a surprise to us.
Some new stuff, yeah. And right, we weren't expecting, anyone well known. We just wanted to talk to someone about our RP.
It's a great discussion. We'll be publishing it this coming Monday. So,
yeah, he's a fun guy. So, and he laid it out pretty well. I think it's going to be good stuff.
Yeah, I learned a lot, and I got to admit, I was a little bit tempted, but anyway, everyone will be able to hear that next week. Anyway, that's my week. Over to you, Chill.
All right, first a shout out to the chat room. Anyone is here. Ben_B55, Ferris Terran, Gaddick Teague of the Unnamed SWTOR podcast, Ghost Mirror, Enixus, Jace, Lowell C01, Pez.
That's Lorium.
Okay. SWTOR Miner is here, the Pummeler, Casmus, Gas Guy, and of course we do have Charlie in here as well. So
hello
hi everyone. Yeah, for me it was really a pretty light week other than the operations. I did do some PvP kind of scattered through mostly before the weekend and then after the weekend, and started working on Voss on my Sage. So, but really haven't even gotten that far through Voss. So pretty light week. No real excuse or anything. It's just one of those things where sometimes you play more and the tide goes up, and sometimes you play a little less and the tide goes out, and that's that's how it was for me this week. Still enjoyed it. I think part of my hesitation is that I'm not necessarily looking forward to doing Voss again on my Sage, but I think once I get into it and actually you just get out there in the field and start beating things down, it'll all be fine. But I kind of thought about it, and it's like, oh man, now I'm gonna have to do that chain again so I can get the Datacron, and yeah, but it'll all be good. Eventually, I will get through it.
Yep. And you're nearly done. Corellia after that, and
yeah, and then McKeb, and that'll be 55. Yeah, or I might do Ilum just to get the mission off my bar.
yeah.
Do you plan on doing macro binoculars and Seeker Droid again?
Yeah, I don't do a lot of those. I went through it all on one character, and I was like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna dread doing the Republic one because I've done it on the Imperial side, but I'm just gonna do a Republic one once and just that's it, never again.
Right. Yeah, the puzzle instances are kind of interesting.
Mm.
You have to kind of locate the right spot to look at and stuff like that. But
It's
and they are
interesting
different
that
on both sides. They have different puzzles. So
Oh.
It's interesting that there's no hint that they're adding any more content for macro or seeker droids.
not directly, but I mean the Black Guru
Shroud.
event had some macro binocular stuff going on, and so they're definitely keeping that in the game. Just we'll see if they add any more actual direct content for it. All right, so that'll bring us to the tip of the week. We do have 3 of them. Do you want me to just read these all out to you, or do you want to take one of them?
Actually, how about I read the first and the third.
All right, go for it.
Our first tip is from Hagupali. My tip is titled KDY, YOLO, not Tio. I think Tio discussed kicking someone from pulling the room in a prison wing. Yet I find this the quickest way, especially on a sniper. A grenade on the white pants NPC knocks him below. Kill all the rest, heal up, and pull inside the hall. You now have a relatively narrow killing zone where you can go nuts on AoE. I think this has to be a deliberate sort of like the huge packs of enjoy your AoE mobs that Blizzard put in on the way to Putricide in Iceground Citadel. Yes, I remember that. Also in the narrow hallway, any knockbacks work very well. If you have a healer, they stand in the back and the mobs never get to them. There are some group compositions where this might not work though, and you may encounter group mates who can't figure out they are supposed to withdraw into the hallway. Cough. Jumpers. Cough. Especially if you have 2 to 3 snipers and sorks, you can fill the screen with glorious grenades and lightning. Now, I should say at this point that I don't mind that particular strategy. We didn't have a healer, which meant we were just taking more and more damage because we were stuck in combat. We had no opportunity to heal up. And
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and the problem, right, was that this strat wasn't actually being employed. This was just a guy who was knocking everyone off the balconies. I mean, maybe he expected them to die, but it's really not that far of a fall, so they don't die from the fall. They just aggro everything down
Exactly.
below.
And
it
after
takes-
the second or third time, we thought,
Yeah. This isn't happening.
They do
Anyway.
take full damage, don't they? Or is it just literally
do.
when they're out of reach that they die?
I think they actually do take fall damage. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
not enough though.
Hmm.
Anyway, Hagu Paley goes on. There have been 2 podcasts when you disparage the Jawa Balloon Datacron. I always get a friend to get on their Juggernaut or Guardian duel, and they push me up on the left side. They then jump to him, and we both get Datacrons. The balloon is no longer even near the worst Datacron for me.
Fair enough.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
actually, that's very cool because I hadn't heard of that jug option. I've always done it with troopers. And honestly, everybody always complains about that. I rode the balloon once just for the experience. I've gotten that Datacron on 8 different characters, and I've never had to wait more than 10 seconds because I couldn't jump right as I was going over somebody's head. I mean, it's just not that hard.
Do you think perhaps they should make all these Datacrons legacy bound? Perhaps,
wouldn't
or
that
do you
be
think
nice?
that might mess? Or do you think that might mess up the entire system?
Yeah, unfortunately, we know it would mess up the system because they've pretty much said it.
Yeah, the problem is that because they're tied into the codexes and like achievements were implemented separate from the codex system, which was an excellent system, but because the codex is just like complicated and poorly implemented. I think that it would be nice, but at the same time, there's also the flip side that there's a lot of people that really, really like doing the Datacrons on every character individually. And yeah, there's a lot of people that hate it and don't want to do it with every character, but unless you're maining that character and doing in-game content, it doesn't. I sat down and did it on every single planet. I had a friend go with me, but it took us 2 hours every planet, every Datacron. And we didn't skip, just get the ones that, were totally mandatory. We got every one.
Okay, be like Red. And finally, remember, you can have 2 pets out, just 1 ground pet and 1 air pet, which is kind of cool. And finally, their quote of the week was slot machine, lightsaber, lightsaber, gun. That was chill.
Ah, yes. All right, that was tip 1. This is tip 2 from Thomas. My tip of the week is to do with the plus 10 Datacron on the fleet. The level requirement for, and we're going to have to verify this, but this is really cool. The level requirement for the museum crystal has been removed, so now as soon as you get to the fleet, you can get the plus 1 to all your stats, providing that someone in your group has the red one from Corellia to let you into the area.
All right, and our third tip is from Anuen of the Ebonhawk server. When you are searching for items on the GTN, be sure you search by cost of item for items that can be sold in stacks. Some people seem to miss that and end up paying more for an item, or they forget to sort by price at all. All it takes is clicking on the words at the top of the items to be sorted from cheapest to higher, or vice versa. I guess there's a reason you want to do that, but the vice versa part. Anyway, I mainly know this because on my server I put up MK9 kits for 95,500 credits each, and there are several pages of them for 60 to 65,000, and yet I sell several of mine a day still. I do enjoy making prices go up, more so than down. You need to flood the GTN with 2 to 3 pages of your product for it to be effective, though. I tried this I tried this with just a few MK9s. They didn't sell, but once I had around 3 pages of them always up, man, did they start selling left and right.
I see. So
That's an awesome gimmick.
right.
I'm so gonna do it.
So apparently some people are just going to the GTN, they see, oh, well, these are all 95,500. They flip a page, oh, these are all 95. They maybe flip one more page, and then they decide, okay, well, that's the going price, might as well buy one, and then they buy one.
Or, there might even be some salted in there, but it's stacks, so the overall cost is more.
Yeah.
They're not sorting. Basically, they're just not sorting at all. They
Let's
look
not
at the
comment
page.
on the
Exactly.
morality of this particular suggestion. Clearly,
I'm so gonna do it.
I always make sure I do it price per item. I always make sure that. Surely it'd be better if they actually did it, if they sold a bunch on one character and then did it to another character, so that way it looks a little bit more legit, perhaps.
if you want to bring, yeah, sure.
Might take a little bit of work going to another character, but that way they won't think, what's going on here?
I'd love
Surely
to know what
something's
Bill
going
thinks
on.
of this.
All right, those are the 3 tips, and the winner by a random allotment is Thomas Thomas. So congratulations, Thomas Thomas. You will be receiving one of the latest cartel packs courtesy of this podcast, as well as one of the M8 pets courtesy of BioWare. If you have a tip of the week, please send it to OotiniCast@gmail.com by next Wednesday for a chance to win the M8 R3 code and the cartel pack. And that will bring us to the holofeed. Tio?
And SWTOR Miner is confirming that they removed the level requirement for the crystal.
Okay, excellent.
All right, news. Actually, not much news this week. We're in that before 2.9, and we don't know what they're going to put into 2.8.2, which in theory should be coming this Tuesday, I think. So anyway, so for Game Update 2.8, it's got a name, Spoils of War. It probably had a name before. We may not have mentioned it. They have added a launch page, which more or less summarizes all the features that Bruce McLean talked about in his update to his 2014 roadmap. So we'll include the link to it. They do these launch pages for every update. So just going through it, the Festival of Splendor in-game event, or Suvada, which is what the Hutts apparently call it. Where extravagance is a standard and luck is simply a way of life. Each life, rival Hutt clans travel to the Smuggler's Moon, Snarshadar, to compete with other high rollers for awards fit for the galaxy's most elite. And they talk about feel the thrill of testing your luck on the slot machines at the dazzling Star Cluster and Club Vertica casinos. Those faction specific?
Oh, cool. Yeah, they are. It's that one section where like only 1 or 2 of the class missions actually take you to it. That's in the center or whatever. That's cool that they're going to be using that for that, because I always wondered why that was just kind of isolated and not even everybody used it, because there's no planet stories that go through there, and there's no quest unless it's class.
Right. Although they used it for the Gree acquisition race and a few other things like that too.
They use it for Bounty Hunter, don't they? You can actually go there to get the shady characters.
Yes.
Oh, you can? Okay.
Hey, Chill, you want to have a go at JD's pronunciation for Suvada? Say it like a Hutt.
Suvada. I like Suvada. Yeah.
All right. Now, one thing they mention is trading your credits for special tokens to use on the slot machines for a chance to win lavish rewards. Just so using the machines will require tokens. You will buy them with in-game credits. And Dolphy has a post where she went through the items that are going to be available on the vendor, so you can actually see the various prizes. And they apparently include the Vectron Magnus Speeder, which is that black.
Black, yeah, that's the black one there with the picture. I like it. It's very nice looking.
It's an interesting model, and your very own
is that a wood
Rancor.
Nice, the Rancor mount.
Another one.
That's good.
On the
infuriate a lot of PvPers.
Indeed.
Yep. On the Victron Magnus, is that it's mostly black. Is that like a wood inlay? Is that what's going on there? It's pretty slick, if so.
Does kind of look like it, doesn't it?
It's
Yeah.
definitely got like a 1960s kind of vibe to it, in a way.
Yeah.
All you needed to do is just light up like those a sort of nightlife lights you would sort of have on the city corners or something. You know, all these pubs. Pubs. That's very British of me. Pubs.
Hmm.
Um,
To me, it
yeah.
looks even earlier with the curves and the chrome on the front, and the black color also almost reminds me of like the 1930s type cars.
Reminds me of Bioshock,
Well,
actually.
Well, I mean, isn't this
Yeah.
awfully reminiscent? I mean, the front less so, but especially from the side, it's very reminiscent of the original vehicle that Obi-Wan and Luke took in to Mos Eisley in the very first, well, episode 4.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's
it's got
like-
the
Bit of
same
a
kind of curves.
stretch.
to it. Ah, same
Mm.
kind of curves. The front is definitively different,
Hmm.
but
But I know what you mean the side part with the lines and everything.
yeah,
Maybe.
Hmm.
it's open on the side, but
What's
Yeah,
that
right.
little? What's that
it's
little
definitely
orange
unique.
part?
This is not a reskin at all, which is great.
That little orange part. What is that actually meant to be for? Is that supposed to be like a? It kind of looks a little woodish.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think that's like a wood inlay.
Hmm.
You
Very
know,
nice.
it could
It would
also
just be for
actually
decoration if that was the case.
This is a
Very cool.
still. It could be lighting, and we just can't tell because it's a still photo.
Possible.
Now, of the various prizes that will be on offer from that vendor is a Kingpin's blaster pistol, and this is probably the only thing I'm interested in, because it very much looks like Han Solo's Blastech, whatever he was using. in
Yes,
movies.
a lot like it. Hmm.
Yeah, so
Although I can
Fantastic.
see some people getting happy about the Kingpin's blaster rifle because it's so freaking. What is it? 40s.
it looks like a Tommy gun.
Rat-tat-tat-tat. Tommy gun, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
Very gangster.
that'll be
Can I just
fun.
can I just say about this event? I am a little disappointed that they didn't decide to bring Pazak in. That's a
Yeah.
wasted opportunity, and I really hope they do eventually bring that because that was my favorite game in KOTOR. I played that all the
Everybody's
time.
disappointed that it isn't any games in Star Wars.
And Swoop Racing. I want Swoop Racing as well. That'd be awesome.
Swoop
would be.
Racing, Pod Racing, Sabic, Djarik, Pazik, you know. Instead, they went with slot machines. But
Swoop Racing is far cooler in KOTOR 2, by the way. So
I still haven't played KOTOR 2. I need to play it.
you do.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a particular mod you should get for that, by the way, that fills in all the missing content.
I've never understood what actually happened there. What legitimately happened? Was it literally unfinished?
They shipped it early and had to cut a bunch of content.
it's kind of like SWOTOR when it first got launched.
Not quite.
Not quite nearly as. Wait, no. SWOTOR is not quite nearly as bad.
Yep.
Because I have played KOTOR 2 recently, and there's definitely some fundamentally broken stuff.
All right, and one thing that we got out of this was the event is apparently going to be yearly or annual.
Oh.
So it does last for
Cool.
all the full duration from Game Update 2.8 to 2.9, so June 10 through August 19. But
Wow.
it looks like it's not going to repeat for that long, and
Right.
I would assume the slot machines won't work after that. Though people have said or spotted what look like slot machines in Galactic Stronghold, so maybe you will be able to get your own. Though how all that works with prizes or whatever, who knows?
Right.
Now,
Do they
go ahead.
do they know if they're adding achievements into this? And if they are they actually going to be easy enough to obtain during that time? Because it's like the Life Day ones. They are really hard to obtain because not only are they yearly, but the drop rate for the packages are just atrocious.
Yeah.
So I still haven't got all the achievements for the Life Day ones. So now I have to wait until it comes back around, and even then I have to suffer through the terrible drop rate.
Well, imagine that it's perhaps the same difficulty, but instead of having, 2 weeks, you get 2 months?
Yeah, 2 months is a long time.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
They would have to-
Sotor Miner had somebody do some mathematical calculations for him, and he imagines it's about 2.4 million to get to virtually guarantee getting a ranker. Although we all know how the RNG works in this game, it could be quite a bit more. But say 2.4 million. If you got the credits, you dump it in, and that would be getting everything else along the way, more than likely. Maybe a few things, but it sounds like it's more a matter of credit investment than actual time.
Right.
Although we'll have to see what the animations are per pull of the slot machine.
I'll bet it's non-zero. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put a bit
Hopefully,
of effort into that.
I'm hoping something along the lines of, your companion affection gifts. But I'm imagining it's going to be like they used to be.
I can't imagine there'll be a pull animation because there'll be so many people crowded around one slot machine, surely. They'll all be trying to use that one slot machine, so it'll probably be unique to you using that slot machine.
Oh, now you're making it even worse because now I'm envisioning that they actually do a cutscene and everybody can be clicking on it at the same time, but you have to do a cutscene every time.
That's probably what it'll be, honestly.
Oh, that's terrible.
Unless they add in a new UI element for it, that is more or less the only mechanism that they have.
Oh, Swotor Minor is saying 6 seconds per use, 15 hours of solid clicking.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Holy hell in a handbasket.
Indeed.
I mean, even spread over 2 months, 15 hours?
How much do you want those achievements, Red?
We'll see if there's achievements, because we all know I'm stupid enough to do it.
does Roto Mining actually know if there are any achievements? Is there actually achievements? Is it in the PTS?
We should see. He is saying that there are win animations, which probably make it last longer.
Yeah.
But maybe it's only a win animation as a cutscene, whereas there's no cutscene for the other 6 seconds per cast.
Yeah, I would be surprised if there's absolutely no achievements. I have no. They might be very simple. It might be very, as simple as play once, play 10 times, play 50 times.
Or it might be something along the lines of just like Charlie was saying about the Life Day event. Win 50 times. It doesn't have to matter what you win, but just win something 50 times.
Yeah, and Minor is saying yes, there are achievements.
Okay.
And on the PTS, you can view them. So good.
Okay, I might actually hop on the PTS this week and make a list then.
Let's move on.
Yep.
Double your rewards in space and ground PvP. We already talked about that. First 3 weeks of 2.8, Galactic Starfighter get the double fleet wreck and credit rewards for your efforts, but not from the dailies or weeklies. And then the subsequent 3 weeks, July 1st to July 22nd,
my only complaint.
War zones for PvP, again, not for the daily or weekly, just for doing each war zone, double war zone comms and credits.
And my only complaint is that the double returns for ground PvP falls over the 4th of July. But it's still 3 weeks, so I'll put up with it. 4th of July for American listeners is the national holiday for founding.
We probably all know that, Red.
I assume so too, but I'm really dense on a lot of things, so maybe there's one listener that's happy I said that.
Are you a hardcore 4th of July celebratory?
Isn't there something about the 5th of November?
Yeah, that's Guy Fawkes Day.
That's Guy Fawkes, right?
Oh, that's right. And that was the first guy to wear a fox mask, right?
Sure. Yeah, we'll go with that. All right, moving on quickly. Nightmare Modra Palace, talked about that, and they're taking the Nightmare Power buff off of Dread Fortress, so you'll get the mechanics, but just with hard mode damage and health, yada yada. And we got the new Starfighters for anyone still playing Galactic Starfighter.
No.
The Skirmisher Gunship and the Assault Bomber.
I was going to ask, how has the Q-Pops been for you guys on your server? Have you even been playing the past couple weeks?
They've been fine.
I haven't even
Galactic
played.
Starfighter.
Yeah.
For Starfighter. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I haven't done Starfighter.
Exactly.
I haven't bothered with Starfighter purely because it's literally got to a point where it gets old. It gets really dull very fast. It's just the same thing over and over now, and no. But the one time I did play it, it was about a month ago, and it probably took about 5 minutes for something to pop on the Red Eclipse, and that was about a month ago. So,
Yeah.
What it is now, I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm really because I've been, of course, I listen to the other shows as well, and it sounds like this is a common problem where people are getting, a 5 to 15 minute queue time. The Bastion might be where you guys want to go if you're diehard GSF. Because I actually did this experiment this week because I've been hearing so much about people having issues with their queues and lunchtime or after work. The longest queue I ever had was 7 minutes, and usually it's under 2.
Okay.
So just an invitation, and we're friendly. We like you on both sides. Force Chuckle will embrace you.
The problem with GSF on the Harbinger is there's just a few too many organized groups doing it. And if you're not in said organized groups, you tend to get stomped. So it just takes kind of the fun out of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Anyway, last thing in Game Update 2.8 is, of course, the new group finder for story mode operations. Anyone level 50 to 55. It's all 16-man. There's story mode, of course. You do have to meet the level requirement for the operation. So the 51s, if you're pre-55, you'll get into. And, yep, and you will get the increased rewards. We talked about this already. The bolster should, in theory, mean that you do not need endgame gear to do the 55 ones. We'll see how that works out.
Kind of a little bizarre in a way because you're being bolstered to get the actual gear you've kind of been bolstered to. It's a little bizarre.
It may actually give you the foothold that you need to get into hard modes, which would be nice. It's just a way of getting it, as opposed to all the other ways of getting it.
Will it actually show your stat changes, or will it just leave it as they are?
If it's anything like Warzone bolstering, as I assume it is, and in KDY, pretty sure it does. You get the buff, which shows you as bolstered, and then everything is enhanced appropriately. Alright, DTS has been updated with a new build, ton more class changes, which you are not going to go through until it's all finalized.
Okay, fair enough.
I do want to at least say I'm really glad that they're doing more class changes. Like, if they keep coming out with more class changes every patch like they have been recently, this is good. It's a dynamic game. It keeps you interested in character. Like, when they change up my characters, even when I see a nerf, a lot of times that's an incentive for me to come in there and prove that it's still a good character, It's just really, really exciting to see them being so much more dynamic on class balance.
Now, something I think we already talked about in Galactic Starfighter on the PTS now, the daily and weekly missions now additionally reward fleet comms, 40 for the daily and 90 for the weekly. Now, these are the comms you used to get from the old space game. I think we already talked about this. So this is another way of getting those comms rather than doing old space. And you can buy all the stuff, and they've done some consolidation with what you can get in exchange for fleet comms, which is kind of cool. They have fixed the relics, as I said they were going to last week. Right, so yep, all on the PTS now. Feel free to test it. We still got over 3 weeks until 2.8 goes live on 10 June.
Do you think they'll ever go back to old space anymore? Do you legitimately think they've abandoned it now?
There was some suggestion. I believe Swotor Minor suggested maybe they'll use the old space environments as a setting for Galactic Starfighter maps.
From your interview, yeah.
Yeah, but
I would love to see the ice field, which he mentioned. That really would be cool.
Yeah.
I had heard somewhere, I can't remember where I heard it, but something about the fact that the space tokens, there was something mined or something to be spending space tokens, and people thought that maybe there was going to be tokens tied into Galactic Starfighter now.
We just talked about that. Someone wasn't paying attention.
Oh, did you? Okay, so why not have that be? I mean, why would it have to change? Why not have that actually the old space stuff? I actually need to go back and get that rep maxed out anyway and do that sort of stuff. So it's like the last rep I haven't done.
Yeah.
At Strong Shocker was submitting guides for the different hard modes, and then he only got like halfway through and didn't finish. I was waiting for the finished set, and then I was going to start rocking it, but Maybe I
well.
need to do it. Wait, you're the video guru, Charlie. Why don't you
What?
go ahead and make hard mode original space videos that we can learn from?
Because I'm no good at space. I'm terrible at it. I'm
I
the
think the
worst
answer
at it.
is he can't be asked.
So this is your Freaky Friday assignment.
Right,
Uh-oh.
we'll get to that. Right, next in the news, the latest 3 questions from the class rep program. This time for Shadows and Assassins. Sadly, nothing really here to make fun of, because I actually got some fairly decent answers.
Which is good. They actually had a class rep that asked intelligent questions. It's about
Yeah.
time. They didn't say, hey, this
Well,
one tree doesn't measure up to the others. Can we get something for that?
So basically, Madness tree for Assassins and Shadows. Well, sorry. The right-hand tree for Madness and Assassins, so the melee version, was kind of crap. Well known to be, especially in PvP. It's all getting buffed in 2.8, so they pretty much had a fairly solid answer to that, and there's a ton of changes.
Do we know if these buffs are Shadow Assassin specific? Or is this actually going to roll over to the Sorks and Sages, because this is their shared tree?
Some may bleed, yes. So it actually works out, I heard, as a kind of a buff to Sorks and Sages 2 in the right-hand tree. Not that they need it.
No, they really
And,
don't.
So we'll
They
see
need,
how
they
that...
need a nerf right now.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
I would.
Yeah,
Although-
actually.
When it's only one of them in a ranked Warzone, I can deal with it. It's me having to deal with it. But recently I've been seeing 2 or 3 of them that we have to go against, and at that point there's just nothing you can do. You're
Right.
boned.
It looks like one of the things they were kind of working on was making more things tied to the ability at the top of the tree, so that hybrids won't be buffed, only pure specs.
That's good. So not the healing for the Sork Sages anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. And the second question was about PvE. They're basically buffing it still. They're buffing that as well, so it all kind of works out in terms of DPS output. For the middle tree, that is recognized to not do so well. They have fantastic burst, but the sustain ain't so good. So they may try and do something with that. Doesn't sound like it'll make it into 2.8 though. Yeah, we'll see what happens. And finally, there was a question about phase walk and what the hell is it good for, and they're trying to work
Healing
something
buff?
out. They have been talking again on the forums. This is Rob Hinkle, has been extremely interactive with the community. They really are listening. They really are trying to adapt things as best they can. So if you have ideas, please contribute to all of the class changes happening in Game Update 2.8.
Is the healing buff for phase walk tank specific?
Yes, it's near the top of the tree. Tank tree.
Okay. So it's not something that the DPS
Yeah,
character
and it
can
also kind of makes the ability a little ridiculous because, I mean, ultimately, you're supposed to be able to put this down so that you can teleport back to it. But once you get that, you have to put it down and then never use the ability because then it just
because you're taking the
you're
boss
just
to your
gimping the
healers.
Plus, you know, there's very few times as a tank that you even want to be teleporting to a known location.
Yeah,
right.
That's a very rare thing in a fight. So basically, it's just you're throwing down a healing buff for the healers, and that's all
It's
it
a pool
is.
for them to
It's
stand
kinda
in.
sad, yeah. Which is too bad because it could be a really cool ability, but at least for my tank, it's just yeah. I mean, it's very boring. I put it down at the beginning of the fight, and if I have a chance, depending on what fight it is, I put it down, during the intervals when it goes away. But that's it.
See, I could, for a non-tank, I mean, I remember leveling my Shadow and going to 55 through McKev and everything, and there was just so much fun. Like, I could see excuses where, like, okay, you can stay on the boss, and then you know that there's something coming that's going to do AoE right around where the boss is. You can stay on him forever and then just teleport to the
Right.
other side of a wall if you want to. Like, it's a fun freaking ability. But I imagine those circumstances for boss fights and nightmare modes and stuff are all circumstantial anyway. But if you don't need to sprint, why not take an instant travel?
Yeah, and they're just going to beef it up. They're not going to change it, it sounds like. They're just going to give it a little extra utility, so when you utilize it, something else special happens or something like that. All right, moving on. Well, we already know a Rancor mount is going to be a prize in the casino on Nar Shaddaa, but there will also be one available in the Star Cluster Nightmare Life pack. God. All right, sorry. In the Star Cluster Nightlife pack. Now, Nightlife packs are the ones, the next shipment that will be coming presumably in 2.8. So I believe it's 4 packs per shipment. Charlie, you're the expert on this.
It would make more sense if they released it with Galactic Stronghold, surely, rather than because when it came to just the regular Star Wars: The Old Republic content, so, Rise of the Cartel, that's when they had all the Cartel packs come out, and then Starfighter, that's when they had the Starfighter ones come out. So surely it would make more sense to bring the Nightlife ones after Galactic Strongholds.
Well, I guess they want to have something new for us to buy.
Oh, and they've certainly got that mount we were talking about earlier, but they got it in a different color as well. Was that that's why you got to get that with the golden certificates as well, which is interesting. I don't know if I like that color though. It needs to be. I think I prefer a darker blue than that.
What color?
No doubt we'll see it.
It's like a babyish kind of blue, the Vectron Opus.
That sounds fairly gross.
Yeah, this link isn't working for
And
me.
it
It's
is.
sending me to the same event.
It's aqua.
It's a very aqua babyish blue, and I don't know if I like it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see me going around with it. I can tell you that. I would want to get the Rancor out because I really haven't. I really need to get a Rancor out, and I don't have one yet. I really wanted to get that Bantha out as well, as ugly as it is, but unfortunately nothing came. So, what can you do? Because I'm a mount collector, and I need these mounts. I need
the
these
Bantha is
mounts.
pretty cool.
Yeah, depending on the lighting, it could be like a baby blue or maybe more of an aqua. I think.
Could you link it in the
it's
chat?
it's sort of hailing back to sort of older style cars. I think in the 50s there were a lot of cars that had this sort of color, sort of aqua light blue. So I think that's what they're trying to hail back to.
Right. Anyway, the
That's
point
the
here
event.
is
That's
that
not the. Sorry.
this doesn't matter. Anyway, the point of this is that the Rancor mount that was added got the PvP people, as we mentioned earlier, a little upset because they got it as the Tier 1 reward in Ranked PvP Season 1. And what about the exclusivity? Of course, they never did promise that. They said that they would be doing exactly this. So they're more or less following through on what they already said. Anyway, their philosophy as far as this goes is that as far as these rewards go for PvP, the models, the actual look, the particular coloring, whatever, will be exclusive as a reward. The models may actually be reused and available in other forms, such as a drop for operations in the cartel market, or as a reward for an event, or whatever. However, this is different to PvE special mounts, such as, in the example used was the Wings of the Architect, which drops from Brontes in Nightmare Mode Dread Palace, which is the final boss. It's a very cool mount, actually. Those spiky things stick out your back. The Wings of the Architect. Anyway, the PvPs were saying, so when do we see that on the cartel market? And they explained that, this was Eric Musco, explained that it will not be. The mount itself will remain exclusive to the operation, mainly because it's thematically tied to it. But the point is, it will always be in the game. They're not going to take it out. And so, with expansions and level cap raises, should be easy for everyone to eventually get it. Unlike the PvP rewards, where that particular look, the purple on whatever Rancor, will never be repeated, and was exclusive to Season 1. So that is the difference. PvE, the mounts are exclusive models, but will always be available. PvP, exclusive look, the model is shared, but yeah, very limited availability.
Well, and realistically, I mean, PvPers should at least prepare themselves. Of course, they're going to be disappointed, but go ahead and prepare yourself that you're not going to see a thematic PvP reward system. Clearly, they're going to want to be able to use this rankers and other circumstances and everything else. They're going to give us a really cool, flashy, very unique skin, but don't expect it to follow theme season to season to season because they're not even keeping the concept unique to PvP. Maybe we'll get an Oro bird that's black, or something like that, but
I can understand the for and against about this because if they were to no longer make it exclusive to PvP, all those people who work so hard on it, it's just going to be, it would have just been all wasted. But if it was against, there are some people who, like me, who I just don't do PvP at all. So I wouldn't even have a chance to get that mount because I just don't do PvP because I'm just no good at it generally.
Mm.
So I can understand.
Well, I guess the PvPers could argue, but they don't do PvE. So how are they supposed to get the mounts from the operations, nightmare mode operations?
Yeah.
The fact is that with enough level difference between the level cap and the level of the operations, eventually they could presumably go in and get it.
Well, the flip side of the conversation, too, is the fact that why on earth can't the PvPers have something that is genuinely unique, something that is special to them? Why does it have to be shared with everyone else when they're the only people in the entire game that have to sub to play what they want to play? No one else does. Everyone else can play for free and get all of these other rewards, but you still don't get something special for the subs that play PvP this way.
That's an interesting point, but ultimately, both sides kind of get one or the other. You can only get the wings. There's no other way to get wings in the game, but it's gonna hang around and it'll be available for a long time. PvP, yeah, there'll be other rancors, but that one particular rancor is unique. So each side can get sort of one benefit, but they automatically get the opposite drawback. So
it's really more what you want
most. It's a shame they didn't make the PvP mount larger, just slightly larger, at least.
That would be excellent.
Yeah.
The other thing is I almost kind of wish that perhaps if they were going to come out with rankers and give it to everybody anyway, don't make that the PvP reward. Like, find something that isn't overall, like, something that everybody's been waiting for since the game came out, but actually give them something that is a unique mount, but it's not so diehard everybody wants it, and then allow that to actually be unique for the PvPers, and then season to season give them a thematic, just something to carry through. Like, everybody knows that this is only able to get in PvP. It's not super badass like a ranker, but it's still cool enough that maybe some season I might go out and grab it. And then, and then they just can reskin that, and maybe change it once a year.
All right, let's move on. Now, this is something to do with the Cartel Market packs. Rather than specific crafting materials being one of the things that the packs can contain, they're going to instead contain one of three items, which are effectively a currency for then going to these Jawa vendors up in the Cartel Bazaar and trading them for specific crafting mats. So you can actually get what you're after. The three currency things are scavenged scrap, assorted droid parts, and Jawa junk.
So are these just
that's good.
Are they for
Jawa junk, I already love it.
Yeah, are they buying different things, or is like one green, one blue, one purple? Do we know?
Multiple things. You can actually, Dolphy has a post where she has listed what all the vendors are selling and how much they cost. Some of them are just a single item, others require multiple, like the purple items require multiple. Each vendor sells, there are three vendors, green, blue, and purple items.
You won't believe how much junk I actually have in my cargo hold of just materials, and I don't use it. So if I have those three items, the scavenged scrap, assorted droid parts, and Jawa junk, I might actually consider doing my crew skills.
Right. Well, this will actually. We know theoretically what should happen with the crew skill items now. The cheap ones have been held down in price because of this sort of trickle of supply. You know, even if no one is doing the crew missions because they know it's worthless, there's still people getting the worthless ones out of the packs and then trying to sell them on the GTN. So there's always a supply. So that should dry up. And on the other hand, if you're getting your option of what to buy, what kind of crew stuff to buy, then you're going to buy the most expensive stuff because that's going to be the most value to you. So that'll bring down the price of it on the high side. So it's going to bring everything towards the middle, which I guess is fine. You just have to be prepared for it.
As a non-cartel pack purchaser, this is actually pretty awesome. They're actually increasing the value of these packs, and you're going to get some random stuff, but it's actually stuff that you can turn in for what you want,
yes,
rather than trying to make something off of the GTN when it's just, invaluable junk.
And just to clarify the pricing with the 3 different currencies, it mainly is 1-for-1. There's just 2 examples where you actually require multiple, and that's for the Ricarda energy node and the self-perpetuating power cell, which I thought they were ops drops. Ricarda energy node, self-perpetuating.
Yeah, I think that was from EV and KP.
But mainly, just 1-for-1.
In terms of increasing the value, do you mean like they're increasing the price of cartel packs or just the items in general?
It would push up the price of the items if you then sold them on GTN. Or bring it down because now there is another way of getting these mats without farming them.
Yeah, it's going to bring all the prices more towards the middle because the stuff that you used to get that was total trash because no one was using artificing or whatever, and you do the vendor, but some of it would go on the GTN. That won't happen anymore, and because no one's going to buy it off the vendor until the price goes up, or reason comes around. And then on the other high side, the stuff that's really more valuable, like the Cybertech stuff and so on. That's the stuff that'll be bought off the vendor, and it'll be more available on the GTN. So therefore, the price will be dropped.
It'll basically redistribute the depression of price across all of the crafting, which will, those that have been depressed previously are going to rise, and those that aren't might fall a little bit, but they're probably still valuable enough to make some money off of.
All right, we're almost through the news. There was a Star Wars: The Old Republic Insider video, this time featuring Jack Wood, the producer who happens to be in charge of Galactic Strongholds, and Eric Musco, community manager. And what they covered, just briefly, was a little overview of Galactic Strongholds, Ranked PvP Season 2, Musco just mentioned it, and the Hotshot Starfighter pack, which is the one that includes the Bantha mount.
Okay.
And Dolphy's got a nice video of that. It's kind of cool. Bantha being the one that the Sand People ride on Tatooine. And Swotorista on their galacticstrongholds.com site did a video breakdown analysis of the video just to parse out some Galactic Strongholds information. And what was found, there is a scene showing, it's basically our first look at the Tatooine homestead, which includes what appears to be a sandcrawler. Whether that is the homestead or just something that you can place on it or is just part of the skybox in the background, don't know. But who knows?
Who wouldn't want to own a sandcrawler?
Yeah.
I agree completely.
It would be even better if you were able to go around Tatooine with it. That would be even better. But it won't
Drive
happen.
it around. Yeah.
It won't happen though.
No, it won't. But it'd be cool. What about a sandcrawler mount?
Ooh.
It's already a pet.
Just a little one, but
A little bigger.
But then we'd have sandcrawlers everywhere on the Imperial fleet or Republic fleet. They'd be everywhere.
What's the downside?
They'd be everywhere.
Yes.
It would look out of place. It would really look out of place.
You could make it like the old turtle mounts in WoW that actually go at walking speed. So the sandcrawler mount does work, but it actually slows you down when you mount it.
Oh. Yeah.
Kind of like the broken down speeder that we have.
Yeah. Also found were just a few images showing pets, multiple pets in the stronghold, and at least one speeder that was actually shown. So we knew that was possible. So now we've got some images of it. and there's a bit of a different angle on that massive Nar Shaddaa Sky Palace, which in theory we have now unlocked if you were a sub as
Yay.
of May 11. Alright, next, and almost done. They confirmed again that changing a character's faction, there will never be faction change. No amount of money you give them will ever allow this to happen because it's just too damn hard. There's just too much stuff tied to a character in terms of story progression and whatever else. So converting that to an equivalent from Republic to Empire or vice versa, no.
What's the point? Why would you want to do this anyway? Why not just roll a character? It's more fun to play through the character because every character is unique. Every character has their own story. It's just I can understand if you want to actually get all the abilities which a character might have, but you might as well just play through the character anyway, because then you actually understand what the abilities are, what they do, and you'll get used to using them. There's no point in just switching over and just thinking, what do I do? Where am I going? I don't know. So it would make more sense just re-roll. It's more fun.
I would concur with that, but I guess some people don't want to. Of course, the main reason for this is to switch faction if yours is getting their ass kicked at PvP. So, yeah, not making this possible is probably not such a bad thing, to be honest. Finally in the news, next Community Cantina with this Friday, 16 May in Vancouver, Canada.
I wish I'd come to the UK with that. I'd really love to go to one.
Mm-hmm.
They usually go to what? Cologne in Germany. That seems to be where they turn up most often.
Well, hopefully
That's
at least
just
one
close
of
to you, isn't it, Charlie? Just hop on a plane.
Oh yeah. It won't cost me much, Just
Indeed.
yeah, couple £100, it's fine.
If someone who listens to the OotiniCast is planning on going to the Vancouver Community Cantina, we'd love to have a report of any sort. Whatever you're willing to do, we're happy to have. So, right, that'll bring us to the community corner, and we'll start.
Sorry, keep going.
Okay. And we'll start with the Utini Templars rating report from Cal. This week, PJ was running late on our first night, so we only ended up doing Dread Fortress Story Mode full clear on alts, which was fun, as I was able to try my Guardian tank out in a proper raid and kill PJ with the Explodey droids. Yes, we play the Explodey droid game ourselves some. Let's see, on our second night, PJ was AWOL, but Darklighter was online and agreed to help us out in Dread Fortress hard mode. Took a couple of goes, but we managed to take down Nephra, and then we had a couple of cracks at the second boss before calling it a night. On a slightly sadder note, I have some real-life commitments that make it impossible for me to commit to a raiding with the Templars for at least a couple of weeks, so we have an open spot for a DPS. We don't mind if you're undergeared. We can run you through enough content to get anyone in enough gear for hard mode quickly enough. Just contact at Jedi Cracker or Armagragan via Twitter, or use the Utini forums to let us know if you are interested in raiding. I've really enjoyed my time with the Templars and hope I can rejoin you guys soon. I will still be playing when possible, and I wish everyone the best. Sorry, Cal, that's too bad, but yeah, it sounds like the Templars are going to continue on.
And check out the forum on our own OotiniCast forum, so I'll include the link to the show notes in the show notes to that for what they're doing, and sign up if you're interested.
All right. Gas Guy's Codex Corner, and he says attached is the May version of the SWTOR Codex tracking spreadsheet. This version has 71 added titles and 41 other added Codex entries. Please let me know of any changes needed or updates.
And the link to this will be included in the show notes and is always available, the latest version, in the sidebar on the right on OotiniCast.com.
Very nice. And Tio, you have a guild update to talk about.
Firstly, our guildmate Draco is organising a guild event, or a guild event to obtain the plus 10 to all stats datachron on the Republic side on the Harbinger. This will be Saturday afternoon or evening, 24th of May, which is Sunday morning for us in Australia, and I'll link to the thread in our forums just with the details as we finalise exactly when it's going to happen.
Very nice. So that's a week
also,
from Saturday. Yep.
I did want to mention briefly, we've added a new rank replacing what used to be our lieutenants. They're now called deck officers, which you may remember from Empire Strikes Back in Hoth. Anyway, and that's just we don't really have much of a guild structure, and the deck officers are just the guys who will handle bringing in new people and promoting them to member from recruit.
All right.
So congrats to all those people who've got there, which includes Ferris Terran, who has actually stepped up and is hoping to do a bit of community building for us. So he sent the following, just summarizing what he has in mind. His handle is Ferris Terran, available on Twitter and Facebook, and I'm hoping to encourage guild communication via retweets, replies, and conversation starters on Twitter. Primarily, this is done with a few different hashtags on Twitter, and following Mad Mars' example of the hashtag SWOTOR family. And what Ferris is using is hashtag Utini Nights and hashtag Utini Rage, with updates at least twice a day. And I've actually asked Ferris to do a post for us on our forums, which I'll link to, so just with more information about how this will all work. So it's basically following Mad Mars' example, but just organised around our two guilds, Utini Knights on the public side and Utini Rage on the Empire side.
It's interesting people actually want to follow in Mad Mars' footsteps. He has a pupil now.
Isn't it great?
Absolutely.
And if you've got any ideas to help with that, just reply to that thread or talk to Ferris directly on Facebook or Twitter at Ferris Terran. And yeah, this isn't really exclusionary to just us. And as he says, we're all knights and ragers at heart. Well said. And that's it.
All right, that'll bring us to the force feedback where we read out your tweets and emails. The Malgadar wrote, quote of the week 136. So the voice actors did what everyone else who ever played the game or who will ever play the game or has ever seen the word pronounces it. Jill's epic rant on Esselis pronunciation. I love a good rant. Go ahead.
I used to call it the Essels once, but now I call it the Esselis.
Excellent. Join us. Malgadar continues, I love a good rant. I think it's fair to say the community has overruled good old Chucky Boyd. Sorry, man. Yes, sometimes that happens with artists. You know, whatever they make goes out in the world and then it changes sometimes. So, right. Force Chuckle wrote, should SWOTOR have a mentoring system? Interesting idea.
And then Gadok Teague of the Unnamed SWOTOR podcast replied, yes, it should. From a conversation he had with a dev at the New York Community Cantina last year, he thought it would actually be in. So maybe it will be in the expansion. But no promises. But
that's cool. I mean, obviously they have widely used the bolster system, so they know how to do it. I mean, generally speaking. And then it's just a question of whether it can be done, you know, within parties and so on.
It's sort of anti-bolster. If you actually, if the mentoring system would actually helping people when they're
right, if you're bringing them down to their level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've played a couple of MMOs that had it, and it definitely does help. You know, people get together and play different characters and so on. Because there's a lot of people out there who they really only like to main, or maybe they've leveled some, but they've already got them all to main, you know, to end game. They don't really want to level anymore, but they can still play with their friends who just joined up that way. So it is a really excellent tool to have. And Tio, you have something to read next.
This is from Artiq. We advertised his YouTube series when he started it a while back, but then he got sick and had to stop it. But he just wanted to let us know that it is back, and I will include the link to it on in the show notes. Artiq Gaming is his YouTube channel. And next, we had an email from Mr. Blackjack. I just wanted to confirm, after listening to your podcast on Forged Alliance's story arc speculation, that Manan is indeed part of the storyline, as well as highly likely the next part of the storyline, as it was unintentionally confirmed on the live servers.
Hmm.
the Republic side specifically, there is a bug that allows players with sub 55 characters to engage in conversation with the Forged Alliance's story arc droid next to the elevator on the main area of the fleet. But instead of giving the conversation for part 1, it actually gives you the first part for part 2, the first part of the conversation for part 2. The droid tells you that it can't say too much as eyes and ears are everywhere. He then tells you that Theron Shan has gone to Manan and is in need of your help, and that you must travel there.
Very
There
cool.
was also a post on Reddit shortly after 2.7's release with pictures of the conversation. That's probably from Swirtle Mana. As far as I am aware, the bug is still there. I tried it myself on his low-level Sentinel, and it does indeed work. Doesn't know how BioWare let something like this slip by, but I just wanted to state that Manan has been officially confirmed to be a part of the next chapter of the storyline at least. May the Force be with you all.
I thought I read somewhere that it might possibly have been what they were originally going to do, but they might have forgot to delete it somewhere in their coding, possibly.
It has, well, the revelation of the cell cath, which was added in the image files from on the flash drive from the Boston Community Cantina, does kind of confirm. So that's pretty certain.
Yeah, kind of. It really does combine.
Do you think
with
this might be confirmation they may add, because I really want them to add this eventually, swimming, possibly? Because Manan is a water planet, so...
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
you'll get to look at a lot of water, and you
Oh,
can
yeah.
bathe
Who
up to
knows?
waist, I'm sure, at some point. But yeah, we'll see.
Who was it? Was it Simon that was
Unlikely.
talking about the fact that that from the original KOTOR, Manan was actually isolated islands,
Yeah, it was
actually on the surface?
You
I
could
was
go
actually-
underwater as well. You could actually leave an underwater installation and walk out in a really clunky underwater suit.
Right.
Okay, kind of like a clunky spacesuit with magnets on the boots.
And fight this
Yeah.
really horrible shark. Yes.
Yes.
It's just what I really want to see happen at some point. You remember in episode 1 where Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn and Jar Jar
yes.
all went to that underwater city? I want that to eventually happen in SWTOR. Just,
Right.
you're swimming and then you just, oh my god, there's something like that
And
right
all
in
they
front of
need,
you.
Yeah, all they need is a little harmonica-looking thing that they stick in their mouths.
Yeah, but that's thousands of years in the future. They haven't invented the harmonica yet.
Or swimming, apparently.
Or swimming. I mean, the only way that they could do it, I mean, obviously they could do it, but I would see it being in some sort of implementation along the lines of what they've done with space combat. We do have a three-dimensional XYZ access movement system now in the game. They could go that direction. I just don't see them making it prevalent throughout the entire galaxy.
A whole expansion dedicated to swimming.
All right. Just quick production note. We are not going to do the Sarlacc Digest. We're running far too long. So we'll just do the feedback and then finish up. Back to you, Joe.
All right. Turg wrote in, I think repair bills are an antiquated system that punishes people who attempt hard content and rewards mindless, easy mode farming. What Raid Finder needs is a one-time solo...
one step at a time, Joe. These are all separate.
Oh, these are separate ideas. Sorry, I thought they'd be more linked. Okay, so yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely go through like sometimes it's 100,000 credits in the course of a couple hours. So,
Yep.
especially as a tank, who tends to get rezzed in the middle of a fight and then re-wiped. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. I guess it gives you a reason. I guess if PvP actually damaged your gear as well, then maybe it wouldn't be so harsh, but...
Are you kidding me? The credit returns for PvP are so trivial compared to PvE.
I don't know, my PvP characters have got fairly wealthy because they don't have to spend any credits
That's
on
right.
anything. So,
Yeah, it's all profit.
That's true. I mean, if you're successful in an operation, though, you're going to make 5-6 times the amount of credits. Easy.
Mhm.
In the same time of actual gameplay committed without having to wait for queues.
Big if. Yep.
That's an if, yes. All right. Turg goes on. What Raid Finder needs is a one-time solo mission challenge, similar to the challenges in the fourth boss of Dread Palace, to unlock each queue roll. Any sort of test of your basic rotation and output, plus move out of the fire, and maybe interrupts. And then you don't waste 3 to 15 other people's time figuring out that you can't hack it. without running a parser, which I doubt most non-progression raiders do, they don't realize they are being carried.
Sadly true. Though it all depends on just how powerful this bolster is for the 60-man story mode operations. They could make them so powerful that it's just stupidly easy.
Yeah,
Does it matter? This is story mode.
In most games, right?
Easy anyway.
Yeah, they'll make this sort of story mode, random group things. Sort of, they'll make it easy mode. In this case, SWTOR would be doing it by bolstering a little bit more, or a little bit less.
I mean, very few of the mechanics are. I mean, honestly, it's allowing people to get access to operations before they hit 55 to actually learn and gain experience about what it means to be in an operation. You still need healers, you still need tanks, you still need DPS, and you still need to learn about mechanics.
Yeah.
It's story mode. Of course, it's going to be easier. It's easier for everybody. It doesn't matter what your gear is anyway. As long as you're 55, you can do story mode.
It also depends on if you're doing 8-man or 16-man as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because in some instances, 8-man is usually harder than 16-man, and it shouldn't be.
And this is being done as 16-man. That's something that we actually touched, Ufalong and I. It's not until you worry about hard modes and then the nightmare modes in particular that the 16-man can be more difficult than 8-man. These are story modes. 16-man will always be easier than 8.
Yeah, I could believe that. Yeah. I have noticed that, and maybe I'm biased or something, but it does feel like they're trying to put more mechanics into various fights for the newer content. There was only a little bit of it in the class stories, and some in granted some in the flashpoints, but it feels like now, like with like some of the fights in the macro binocular missions, and like when you're jumping around. On those, in the different fights in that one, the one where you have to go through the traffic and all that, and there's just they're getting a little bit more advanced with adding stuff that includes sort of get out of the fire mechanics and so on, and need to interrupt and stuff like that. So I think they're doing kind of a better job of kind of doing that part of prepping people for operations. Obviously, maybe it doesn't do quite what Turg is hoping for here, which is a straight-up test before someone goes in. But I think in general that's a good idea for the future of the game, just to add more mechanics to pre-operation material.
Well, agreed. I mean, think about originally when Lost Island was released. That was phenomenal. It was a 4-man operation. The other thing is, though, there has been a huge kind of a schism within the community about whether or not the new tactical flashpoints for Korriban and Tython are hard or not. Half the people say, oh, it's way too stupid easy. What is this all about? And half the people say, no, this is really, really hard. And really, it ties into the fact that those flashpoints have mechanics.
Yes, they do, especially the actual boss fights.
Yeah, and you can do a 4-man DPS group and you can get through there, but if you're playing with genuine pugs that don't understand mechanics, haven't had any operation experience, it can be devastating. It can be really, really difficult. And if they don't read text, then you're jacked. So they're starting. That's the thing. It looks like with the tacticals, it seems like they're experimenting with mechanics, and those people that haven't been exposed do actually have to start learning what mechanics mean, and that is a preparation for operations.
Right.
All right, beaten to death. Move on.
All right. Thross of the Harbinger wrote, enjoyed the podcast as always. Sigh, that wasn't much of a roadmap from Bruce. My main takeaway from the roadmap is that SWTOR won't have much in the way of content that I'm excited about until probably October or November, when I expect the level cap increase and related content to be released. I guess for now I'll stay subscribed, but this is all very discouraging. I'm afraid that SWTOR is going to bleed subscriptions over the spring and summer. I'm convinced that BioWare is working on this game with a skeleton crew, probably something like 30 people total, including Musco's group. No wonder the content is only trickling out.
An interesting idea. I suspect it's pretty unlikely. They've got more people than that, I'm pretty certain.
Okay.
Do they have a restricted or less people than they did at launch?
We know that.
Prior to launch? Oh, absolutely, but then they had hundreds of people prior to launch. Yeah, we really can't guess in terms of the
But
size
all
of the
MMOs
studio
are way more overstaffed before and
prior
after
to
launch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, they really didn't tend to get Strongholds out around now, and so that's why we've got this content, if you call that content gap. They have their team already working on the expansion. They're not delaying that. All they're doing is basically pushing out Strongholds. Everything else should be pretty much as it was. I mean, could be proved wrong, but I still think we'll see the X-Pack at the end of this year.
I mean, genuinely, the X-Pack, we know for a fact that, like, GSF and the X-Pack, parallel groups, Strongholds and GSF, they're the same group. And this is why GSF has had their ship mode completely thrown out. They've diverted their resources not from the X-Pack, but from GSF into the Strongholds, putting more time into it in order to prepare for this. I don't think that the X-Pack is going to be impacted at all.
Yeah.
Do you know if they are actually planning on getting the actual story content expansion in 3.0, or do you think it would probably be 3.1? Is it because I know they say they're definitely going to try and get out for the end of the year, but are they literally trying to go for 3.0, or
I'd
does
say
anyone
so.
know?
Very good chance of that. Unless it's going to be a 2.10, which is just going to confuse people.
If it's a level cap increase, they'll make it a 3 for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And in one way, Thros is actually an optimist. He's thinking October, November. When they said by the end of the year, I just assumed December.
Yeah, I immediately thought Christmas or later.
Yeah. A lot of the big stuff usually seems to come out in November, though, so it would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, if it came out, end of November, that'd be great.
If they're still going by their 9 weekly kind of thing, that would probably take it. If we're looking at August, probably take it to October, maybe.
The funny thing is that if you think about it, because it's now a free-to-play model, but we know it's going to be a paid expansion, if you want to give your kid a Christmas gift, they should announce that it's going to be released after Christmas, but you can start paying for the expansion before Christmas, and then it can be a Christmas gift.
How long until it goes free again, though?
3-4 months.
Mm.
Isn't that what it was
Actually,
before?
That's 6 months.
Charlie's right.
Is it 6?
It would be 21 October for 9 weeks after Galactic Update 2.9, so I suspect we are going to see a 2.10.
But then how long has it been between 2.7, which we had, and 2.8 coming out? How long has that been? Has it actually been 9 weeks as well?
9 or 10 weeks, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
What was that new updated schedule? Wasn't it 9 to 11 weeks, though?
No, they said 9 weeks.
They're always changing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting longer and longer.
If they
Damn that
release
BioWare.
2.10 on 21 October, that would put 3.0 around 23 December.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which would be perfect, yeah.
That'd be 3 years after SWTOR was officially released.
Yep.
3 years, oh my god, wow.
I know, and the game is so much better now. It's so awesome.
I'm a founder. Ooh, that's cool.
Aren't we all?
Exile of TorFashion.com wrote, I've got a dream to have a Varactyl zoo in one of my strongholds. My goal recently has been to get one of every color. So far it's going well. The animation writing them is really fun too, and it's totally worth unlocking them if you buy one. If on our server, the cheapest one is only about 600 to 800,000 credits, which is less than a week of dailies.
You going to keep going?
Yeah, well, that's kind of a different... It's kind of a separate issue. So, all right. For Freaky Friday, I dare you to check out the RP scene. Even if it is on your own server, host a serious roleplay event, and it would be very cool to hear about it afterwards.
Just a reminder, Freaky Friday is what the Bad Feeling podcast guys did. Do something you wouldn't do otherwise. And RPing would certainly fall into that category. And after the interview with Larry Everett of SWTOR RP, yeah, maybe.
I definitely checking out that interview. Larry's a pretty cool guy. He is.
I think this would be a lot of fun, and what we could actually do is like schedule it in advance, and all 3 of us should go and have one of these RP guys actually coach us. and we have to like set up because I know you're supposed to have a whole backstory for your character and everything, and so we have to prepare that, do our homework, submit that, get it approved, and then we go and do a full RP experience. I would commit to that.
How many of you have actually made a backstory to your main characters? 'Cause I know I've made one for my two main.
No.
I've got one that I
Yes.
actually had a huge backstory to. It was my consular.
Never a huge backstory, but I always have sort of a general idea of what sort of person they are and maybe what sort of background they had before the class story started. So, yeah.
So
Yeah,
you
that's
might-
definitely true. Like how you decide how you're making your decisions.
That is, it does enter into it, yeah.
My Sith Warrior and my Jedi Consular, they're both Zabreks. So I kind of made them fraternal twins, so it makes sense. Yeah. It's,
I
it's more
straight-
it's more fun when you give them a backstory. It makes things even more interesting.
Well,
straight-
Teo's characters are all straight out of the cloning vat, so.
Indeed. I suppose
Those Jubs.
counts as a backstory.
Jubs is straight up clones as well, but my consular is actually ripped off from the extended universe, which is now Legends. So now my character is more real than the books I used to read. But she is a Twi'lek who started out with the best of intentions, but had travesty happen to her throughout life, and she is going for the betterment of good. And then there is a crux moment within the consular story that lends to her essentially going completely mad and insane, and then going deep dark.
Very cool.
So
All right. Ferris Terran wrote, they are, to make a bad pun, taking a gamble with this delay on the nightlife and the summer of events.
I'm really happy that we've got all these events returning. Honestly, I mean, I understand that it's a stopgap, and they're just going to bring them all back to us to keep us busy because they've had to delay a lot of stuff. I'm actually okay with that because there's going to be so much for me to do. And I've been looking forward to the Rakghoul coming back, and I've been looking forward to the Gree coming back. Like, we know they've added things or changed things about those events that we all want them to come back.
Do we
And,
know
like-
if with the Rakghoul event, if it's going to be exactly the same as what it originally just was? Are they going to change it up a little bit?
The planet
They're
is
gonna-
different.
They're going to add a few more dailies, maybe change some dailies, possibly.
Well, we don't know for sure. We don't know for sure, but the information suggests that it will be very similar.
Because it's on a different planet. So if you think about it, when it was on Alderaan, if you actually look at the actual caves of the Rakghoul Resurgence, and if you were to have that exact same plan on a different planet, it would be a bit. You'd think, what? That's how the exact same layout on both planets. It would be a bit odd. No.
Well,
the thing is that
the
they've
world
got the
boss is
Grovers.
different, but the actual the ops boss
Underground.
inside is the
Right.
same, the eyeless. And they may change the mobs, they may reskin them to be appropriate to the planet, like on
At least some of
Tatooine,
them.
they could be whatever.
Right.
Bothans instead of Killiks. Or not Bothans, sorry,
Jawas.
whatever. Yeah.
I
Jawas.
kind of hope they get rid of
Sand
those.
people. Probably sand people, or yeah.
I really want them to get rid of those outbursts where just infected just come out at you, because that just gets really annoying after a while.
They are
honestly.
not going to get rid of that.
I expect
Oh,
that the underground
come
will
on.
actually be identical, and there's a very easy way to do it, is because a lot of people didn't pay attention to the names of the yellow neutrals that were in those caverns, and one of them was like a builder and one of them was like a tunneler. So it seems like there's a certain genetic path that those tunnels are being built by these units, and it's part of the viral infection. So, and they can play it off that way. And then, the beings on each planet might change, but I'd expect everything else to be identical. I know the world bosses externally will be slightly different or whatever, but I still actually expect those to be pretty similar anyway.
Yeah.
Which is fine, because there's different achievements for each of them, and I want to get them.
All right. The Kortoth Legacy wrote in, the Power Tech just became my 10th 55. That can only mean I need to get out more.
Congratulations.
Wow,
Pretty
that is
impressive.
a lot. That means he's...
I've already got two 55 characters at the moment. It's gonna take me a while.
Emperor wrote something, and Tio, you wanted to read this.
Now, Bear was a guy who emailed us about having the guild that he sort of ended up in. He was asking us what to do with it. So this is what he
Yes.
writes. Thanks for the advice regarding the proper course of action concerning my dead guild. I must say, being the GM reigning over a population of 1 is very challenging. I'm already sick of listening to demanding players and coming up with a clever message of the day. It took me at least 15 minutes to figure out how to kick people from the guild because I always seem to forget that right-clicking on an icon is an important life skill in the computer world. It took me another 15 minutes to figure out you can't invite someone to your guild if they are already a member of a guild. I clicked on several players and the invite to guild option didn't appear. For a few minutes I felt like it was a senior prom all over again. But then I found a lonely body type 4 hanging out near the speeder vendor on Fleet. Jackpot! After learning those lessons, I started to explore the other aspects of being the GM and quickly realized that me acting like a GM made about as much sense as an Ewok in the Old Republic. So I posted an advertisement on the forums, that's our OotiniCast forums, this morning. For your information, the reputation bonus for 1 subscribed member is 0.2%, and the XP bonus is 5.4%.
Which is better than
One-man
nothing.
guild, not so good.
Better than nothing.
Alright, he goes on. As I mentioned above and in my previous email, I am an extremely casual player and have had to live vicariously through the various SWTOR podcast personalities who are serious players. Is that us? Sort of. To get a taste of what it is like to be big time. It seems that every week Redner says something like, I have such and such a boss on farm, or my friends and I were farming the other faction's players for hours last night. When I hear those comments, I always feel a bit of jealousy and shame because the only thing I have been even close to farming is the 500 pieces of dash taking up space in my cargo hold. However, with great joy, I can announce those days are over. A few days ago, I checked in on a
Star Wars.
I was.
I suppose, on a character I haven't played in a long time. And guess what? I'm the guild master for that guild as well. That's right, I can officially say that I had my guild
This was awesome.
on farm.
He's farming
I feel as if
guilds.
I have arrived. Now, when Regner brags about all the other players he's killed or the bosses he's defeated, of course he will have to tell us about the achievement he got from doing it, blah blah blah. I can push aside those shameful feelings, confidently consider myself part of that elite group of gamers who farm. Redner may have killed thousands of other players, hundreds of endgame bosses and achieved achievements, but he's never killed a guild, let alone 2 of them. Bam! Drop the mic and walk away. Signed, Farmer Bear.
There is no question that there should be achievements for, like, inheriting a guild. You know, like, you have inherited 2 guilds. You have
That's
inherited
funny.
3 guilds. That's so awesome.
Indeed.
And by the way,
Thank you,
world
Bear.
bosses, I got nothing on farm. I'm all PvP lately, but open world, I can still rock it.
And he has actually posted in our forums, he's the last official member of the New Galactic Order on the Republic side Guild of the Shadowlands if you're interested in purchasing it. Now it does have 4 cargo holds unlocked, which is worth roughly 6.5 million credits.
Yeah.
Make a reasonable offer to him via our forums. Just reply and you can arrange to hook up in-game.
People actually sell and buy guilds? I did not know that was a thing, honestly. I had no
Not
idea.
officially. It's not like it's wrong or anything. It's just you have to do it player to player. But yeah, you can.
And by the way, Farmer Bear, you're going to be a lot richer with a lot more credits than me. And there's a 10 million credit achievement. Earn it, baby.
I'm annoyed about that achievement. It's a shame that it doesn't actually do it 10 million over time. You actually have to have 10 million on you.
On you, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally cheated and like
Yeah, I
4
did
of
the
my
same.
friends all pooled it and then
Yeah, same here.
redistributed.
I'm not sure how much the rest we can get through, but let's go at least another 10 minutes and see.
Okay. All right. So next one up, Fnord3125 wrote in. I just realized that without planning to, I made all my heal-capable tunes female. Does that say something about me?
No
And-
comment.
No comment. Exactly. And it would be nice if, like Mass Effect 3, SWTOR had a hide helmet when in conversation option.
I'm getting a little bit annoyed because when it came to the conversations I would have with on the Korriban story. What is it? What is it? The new Flashpoint story. My actual mask was disappearing whenever I was talking to. I can't really say her name because it's kind of a spoiler, but I don't know why that was happening.
Huh.
So technically for me, it's kind of already happened. It's already happened.
And you don't like it. But if it was an
No.
option, it'd be kind of cool.
All right.
I've noticed in different class stories it's pretty spotty. Sometimes they take off your helmet, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
Troopers or other classes.
Right. I could swear that there's some class stories where they take it off on purpose, like the romance stories and so on.
Well,
Yeah,
that'd be weird if they
do it.
didn't.
Yeah.
They definitely do it.
Romance.
They definitely do it in companions stories as well,
hmm
which is silly.
So it is possible. All right. Greg Carter wrote in, I think Nar Shaddaa Casino should include carnival-esque mini-games to win tokens too. Add some fun to the gambling.
Oh, I think we can all agree with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some sort of skill shot or even random stuff would be really fun. New Flashpoint idea. The Flashpoint starts when you're caught cheating at a Nar Shaddaa casino, and then you have to fight your way out.
Interesting.
Or the huts, throw you in some sort of dungeon. You have to fight your way out of that.
Past a Rancor. Yep.
At Darksplat wrote, the Platinum Defender medal is for 10,000 Defender points. And yes, Chill, it was me who got it. Very nice.
Very nice.
Yep. That is a rare one. Jay Connell wrote, tell us your secrets, Jack, and no one gets hurt. Everyone knows you're up to something.
It's a particular scene that he set up. It's kind of cool.
Yes,
With-
he's looking at a character named Pazak Jack.
Yeah. I'll include that in the show notes.
Yep. Although that would be a cool character name, it's actually a vendor name, so there you go. May the 4th. Now I'm just getting that MT4T droid name. Please say I'm not the only one who missed this. Well, I don't know about
I'm
missing
sure you're
it,
not
but
the only one.
yes, remember how late I was in getting to it, so it happened on the actual recording of that podcast when we were
Indeed.
talking about it. So yeah, pretty late.
It just means more. It just means more stuff I'm going to get in my mail. Yay!
Yep. Yep.
Had you not brought it up before, this would have been the show that I realized it. So
Yeah, I think I'm up to like 3 rows of stuff now when I make a new character.
Right,
I'm the
now
same. I think. Yeah.
skip the next. Skip his Freaky Friday. We'll save that for next week.
Okay. How about the idea? Do you want is that part of the Freaky Friday? That's part of the Freaky Friday. RTB wrote, you summed up power versus crit very well. What about accuracy? Who needs 110%? Is it needed in PvP at all?
Chill.
I mean-
I'm sorry, Red. Is this a short or long answer?
I can make it super quick. Very simply, this is a conversation I'm going to have with Ufalong more, with a lot more in depth. But effectively, you got to find out for your own character how many of your classes or how many of your abilities are actually force or tech, because that's how the accuracy works. 95% is the minimum you need if you're like a Sork, who's 100% force, because 95% is 105% for force. Every class has 5% defense, so 5% over 100 negates that 5% defense. Otherwise, we'll talk about it later.
All right. Shintar wrote, in episode 136, you talk about faction balance in regard to PvP queues. Where do you find out what the rep to imp ratio is on a server?
The only concrete information we have for this is from ranked PvP, where we have the data, and you can actually see the faction balance via OotiniCast.com/leaderboards. You can do it by server and overall.
Right.
So that's all the info we have. But
Yeah, obviously won't give you the overall like leveling PvP or even non-ranked endgame PvP, but it should give you some idea.
Yep.
All right. At Mark_SWTOR wrote, if I can ever figure out what TF you're actually supposed to do during war zones, I might not suck too bad at it. I don't know. We'll see.
So for next week's show, what we plan to do is speak to a expert in the PvP community that Laurie M has found for us. And we'll probably do it as an interview style, but will be included in the main show. The idea is it's going to be Warzone 101. We're going to go through all the war zones and basically what real PvP is, wish that everyone else knew before they actually first set into a war zone.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting.
Yeah, that'll be good. Simon wrote, Dennis Lawson won't be playing Wedge in Star Wars Episode 7. Okay. The Pummeler wrote, here's the Pummeler's Concealment Operative video debut. Enjoy.
This is the Pummeler, who is actually going to be a guest on the show, in the show just prior to the release of Game Update 2.8. Well known on his commentary on the effectiveness of DPS operatives in PvP.
Alright.
Yeah, anyway, he's done this quick video. It's actually really good, and people seem to have enjoyed it as well. So I'll link it in the show notes.
Alright, Nathaniel Starr wrote, top 1,000 for ranked PvP leaderboards as of the end of day, 5/12 of 14, so May the 12th. And then...
sorry, let's skip this too, because we're going to be talking PvP next week.
And it would take a while too. Dan Kalagian, I'm going to guess on the pronunciation. Sorry, Dan.
Calagian.
You think it's Calasian? Yeah,
that seems more sensible.
Sounds nicer. Yeah. Calasian, okay. Dan Calasian wrote, I loved your segment comparing power augments to the main stat, especially since I mostly play Gunslinger and Operative. But I have a few tanks at level 55. I was wondering if you could do a segment on gearing endgame tanks, mainly comparing the best defensive stats for the 3 different style tanks. Vanguard and Bounty Hunter, Assassin, Shadow, Guardian, Jug.
This is something that we will need to readdress. I've talked with Ufalong, and he actually has another stat guy that he knows is focused entirely on tanks. We covered this originally soon after 2.0 came out. The basic premise of those episodes will still hold true, but I would actually very much like to... I'm going to talk with Ufalong, get a hold of this guy, and really nail down a lot of that information, and then we'll cover it.
That'll turn up in a subsequent show.
Yeah.
Great. All right, Jace wrote, playing on Red Eclipse with my little trooper, just managed to win the match as we capped our side first. It was a glory to behold, and it was a great game.
So this was Civil War. They won 10-0 with 10-0 remaining. So
and middle node was never ever capped. It remained gray at the end of the match.
And those matches take forever.
Yes, they do. And it's really painful if you're the one who's behind in that and just watching the whole game. All you need to do is cap the mid for even a second, and you
exactly. It's like a fraction of a second, that 10-point difference.
Would be all the difference. But nope, they held on. That's pretty amazing. It must have been just a bloodbath in the middle there too. All right, and
that's it.
That's the show. So, if you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Harbinger server, or in our
Utini Rage
Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then ask for the quiz that lets us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to utinicast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter. We're on @UtiniCast. I Twitter under my own name @Brandon L. Starr, and TU uses his name @Jason Etheridge. Kranatoko, or Charlie, tweets under @Kranatoko. Or you can subscribe to him at youtube.com/KranatokoGames. And you have some more videos coming out pretty soon, it sounded like?
Yeah, I've got episodes 87 to 89 of my Jedi Consular, where my Consular will eventually finish up Hoth and finish Chapter 2. Obviously, I'll do more pack videos when they become available, more Sith Warrior videos when they become available. And I don't always just do Star Wars The Old Republic videos as well. I do generally do anything else. I do Chronotoka plays MMOs. I don't know which MMO I'm going to play next, though, so I'm always looking for ideas.
Cool. Very nice. All right.
Thanks for staying up, mate.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's right. It's like, what is it, 2:24 here in the morning right now?
Yeah, thank you then.
No problem. I had fun.
And Red Twitter's under at R3DN4, or you can watch him on twitch.tv/R3DN4. Check out our website, OotiniCast.com, which has links to our presence on Google Plus and Facebook. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, and we're also on Stitcher. We record the show live every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time. Go to OotiniCast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is from Mevio's Musicale. Check it out at music.mevio.com. That's MEVIO. And thank you to the chat room. And thanks again, Charlie and Red.
Thank you. Had fun.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye, everyone.
And we'll see you next week.
Alright, everyone, stop your recording now, please. Chat room, thank you. Lively
Thank you.
discussion.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, no, it's been a good night.
Yeah, we'll have to go through this later. There's so much stuff. It's hard to keep up with it. Anyway, we'll stop the broadcast here, and we'll see you next week with that discussion about Warzone 101.
138, right?
Thanks, guys.
138, yes.